Now announcing this year's winner of the beauty pageant to the stage, generic pageant winner, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Hi, I'm a proud mother of 15. Oops. Sorry, I'm 16. I just gave birth to a little Daisy backstage a few minutes ago. But don't worry, everybody, the bleeding has stopped. Mostly. Does this sound like an exaggeration to you? Well, it is. But in the case of Hannah Nealman, it wasn't 12 minutes, but 12 days after giving birth that she competed in a beauty pageant. And it was as the internet began to discover this prioritization of presenting herself as perfectly pretty, not even 2 weeks after giving birth to a whole human child, that thus secured her spot as the internet's declared leader of the recent phenomenon, the Tradwives. See, when I first read Tradwife, my brain said, Chadwife? So imagine my disappointment when it didn't turn out to be a bunch of really buff women, but a lot of people who are just really intense about making sourdough bread. Tradwife comes from the combination of the words traditional and wife. I know, really had to pull out the old English textbook for that one. The idea of being a tradwife has gained a lot of traction on TikTok over the past year, with people posting their fantastical, nuclear family-inspired homemaking dreams. Hello and welcome back to Grabuary, where the A stands for Aww, my egg apron. Anyway, where are my plane tickets? I want to get things started off by saying there is nothing wrong with living a lifestyle that is considered to be traditional. You want to live your cottagecore aesthetic and make goat cheese? Go ahead. You want to be a stay-at-home parent and make little raviolis? You do it. You make your little raviolis. Do it now! Just like there's nothing wrong with living a non-traditional lifestyle, there's nothing wrong with living a traditional lifestyle. When I'm talking about tradwives in this video, I'm very specifically meaning the highly edited and overtly manufactured content that's been going viral on TikTok recently. Not necessarily the act of being a traditional wife or stay-at-home mom in itself, just so we're being clear. As long as no one's being hurt, you do you, I'll do me, and we won't do each other. Are we good? Okay. Hey y'all, are tradwives okay? Tradwife content isn't sinister by nature. If anything, it sets the expectations for a homemaker to be a little bit too high, and people on TikTok are starting to get a little sick of it.
Voices have mostly stopped since my lobotomy, so thankfully I've been allowed to have my knife privileges back, which I must admit makes it a whole lot easier to get into a lemon and find a seed.
One of the most notorious tradwives is Nara Smith, who was popularized on TikTok for going to extensive lengths to make everything from scratch, from the comfort of her own kitchen, all while looking like a supermodel. Which, incidentally, she is.
When I asked my toddlers what they wanted for lunch, they both wanted a grilled cheese. So that's exactly what I got started on. I got started by making my bread, start making my cheese. So I made a fresh basil pesto. So I made a garlic and herb butter, and the kids absolutely devoured this.
If I asked my mom for a grilled cheese and it took her like 10 hours because she started getting all the ingredients out and insisted on making everything from scratch, honestly, I'd be kind of impressed. I didn't know she knew how to make cheese. Also, you didn't even tell me you were back in the country, but now you're in my kitchen making butter? Okay. Nope. I see how it is. Nara Smith DIYs enough that it would make 5-minute crafts jealous. She's made nearly everything from bubblegum to sunscreen, and calling it sunscreen actually might be a bit of a stretch, considering you're probably better off saving the trouble. When it was put to the test, it didn't even reach SPF 30, which is the bare minimum requirement to protect you from the sun. Sorry to waste your time on that side quest. Turns out putting oil on your skin doesn't protect it from the heat. Who knew? You're probably just better off doing what I do and lock yourself in your room with nothing but the blue light from your computer to give you light exposure. I mean, the sun can't get me if I never leave the house, right? Nara Smith is what TikTok user Be Better Company calls an empty billboard. It's a term used to describe how widely marketable she is. In her content, she doesn't talk about her personal life, her beliefs, or political views, so it gives her a massive marketing appeal. Since she's a blank slate, her audience can inject their beliefs into her content without it being directly challenged. Be Better argues that Nara Smith, speaking outside of this tradwife persona that the internet has boxed her into, even though she doesn't actually identify with it, would break the fourth wall, and the illusion of a picture-perfect 50s homemaker would be broken whenever her audience remembers that Nara Smith isn't a product or a brand, but a living, breathing person with her own opinions, which in business terms means less profit. Oh, but don't you worry, if you want to be a tradwife but don't know where to start, Nara Smith might not be your best bet, but lucky for you, self-proclaimed tradwife SD Williams will help you get started on the far right, track. Various tips include, but are not limited to, ask for less hours at work, get an education, or don't get an education. Actually, do get an education, but it might make it harder to be a housewife. Sell your house and get a smaller one. Wait, why do you assume I can afford a house?
Tip number 5. Do you really need 2 cars? Maybe try 1.
That sounds so clever. Yeah. It's so smart. I mean, what better way to be a housewife than to literally not be able to leave the house?
We have 2 now, but we were living off of 1 car for a while, and it's not that bad.
Then why do you have 2 cars, Esty? Methinks you doth protest too much.
Maybe it's time to sell your house and downgrade.
The ability to be able to say, just sell your house and get a new one with a straight face boggles my mind. That's like saying, oh, you're broke? Have you tried just not being poor? A la Watcher style? It's just $6 a month. Anyone can afford it. And it sort of proves a common criticism with tradwife content, and that's just how expensive it is in reality versus how it's portrayed on social media. It's kind of portrayed as this, like, simplistic little house on the prairie vibe, except without all the explosions and sickness and babies dying in a fire. Did I miss this show? But to aid in this conversation, we need to ask ourselves, why is this lifestyle attractive to the younger generation? Get excited because I'm about to read some articles. Megan Agnew, whose interview with Hannah Nealman took the internet by storm last week, theorizes that this all stemmed from the girl boss era, when women were being encouraged to be bolder in the workplace. Agnew states, as years went on, women realized they had been sold a lie. This individualistic feminism didn't solve anything unless you were a millionaire. For normal working mothers, the girl boss era achieved virtually nothing. Enter the tradwives. To be a tradwife on TikTok generally requires an insane amount of money up front that can only be gained through generational wealth or marrying into it. Why be a single mom who works 2 jobs when you can just be a mom? No jobs necessary. It looks like a romantic lifestyle, especially in short, aesthetically pleasing doses, and considering society's constant underappreciation and infantilization for stay-at-home mothers to the point where it's not even considered work, it's just societal expectations. Look, there are just too many conversations that pop out of the trend of being a tradwife. It would take someone much smarter than me and with much more time than I have to do any of it justice, and I'm just a little guy. But I want to take a quick second to recognize the whiteness of it all. There is a reason that scrolling down the list of tradwife influencers is very reminiscent of walking past the Wonder Bread section in your local grocery store. People of color, especially black women, have always worked. There has never been an opportunity for people of color to live the traditional lifestyle. This fantasy role in the world has been reserved for white couples, and it generally involves getting help from people of color to help with the cleaning, raising their kids, etc. In the article, Why Are Gen Z Girls Attracted to the Tradwife Lifestyle?, Mariel Cooksey says, Tradwifery is a complicated movement entangled in a difficult history of patriarchal religiosity, racism, and misogyny, but aspiring Zoomer tradwives are actively simplifying it, transforming tradwife ideology into fun, musical video bites easily digested by their followers in 30 seconds or less, harkening back to a time when the American identity was primarily white, conservative, and heterosexual, and making an implicit call to restore that status quo. And we are not talking about the absolute banger from High School Musical. No, no, no. To be blunt, tradwife content is selling a fantasy that the tradwives aren't even actually living, repackaging misogyny and selling it as feminism.
When I decide I want to drop out of college and become a traditional wife, and my only goal in life is to be an amazing wife and mother, that's when eyebrows seem to raise.
Okay, Let's talk about it. Is it unfeminist to want to be a good mother? No. Is it unfeminist to want to be a good wife? No. Everyone should aspire to be a good person. But if you pay attention to the language she's using, it's the usage of the word only, which implies an erasure of your identity as a person being replaced with you only being a mother or only being a wife.
And my only goal in life is to be an amazing wife and mother.
Women haven't always had the opportunity to pursue education, and in some parts of the world, they still can't. So the unintentional implications of encouraging women to not pursue an education and not think about their identity beyond what they can offer a man is the thing that's causing people's eyebrows to raise. Okay? Don't try to make this a dang liberals trying to shame women for wanting to be a mother, because that is a gross exaggeration of the actual critique. You can still be a good homemaker while having individual interests and hobbies. And this brings us full circle to the thing that started this rabbit hole. If you've been on the internet over the past few weeks, you've probably heard about ballerina farms and the article that has everyone talking about it. And if you haven't, lucky you, here's the gist. Ballerina Farms, not to be confused with a ballerina farm, is an account that posts about the simplistic, aesthetically pleasing lifestyle of the Nealman family and their adventures owning a homestead and living life under traditional gender roles. Hannah Nealman was originally a ballerina at Juilliard with a full ride scholarship. Oh my god. And after getting engaged not even 1 month after dating each other, she gave up her dreams of being a ballerina to live out her husband's dreams, their dreams of living out her husband's dreams of living in the West being surrounded by their 8 kids. Okay, that's depressing. But wait, there's more, and it gets worse. They tried to tell the reporter the story of how they started dating like it was this cute little thing, but it's about as romantic as an old Disney princess movie. It was a tale as old as time, really. You know, girl goes off to pursue her dreams, and turns out that the airline that she's using is owned by the father of the man she's been rejecting for the past 6 months, so all he has to do is make a phone call, and then he gets the spot right next to her, thus securing them in a metal box in the sky next to each other for the next 5 hours. Classic love story. New Disney movie when? And if that wasn't enough, she specifically tells him that she wants to date him for at least a year before getting married. And he says, it's not going to work, we have to get married now, and they were engaged within a month of dating. The article delves into how this kind of becomes a pattern in their relationship. While Hannah says that they've both made sacrifices for their lifestyle, it doesn't really seem to be the case from an outside perspective. Her husband wanted to live on the farm in the West, so they are. He wanted to have a ton of kids, so they did. He doesn't want nannies, so she raises the kids by herself and gets reportedly so ill with exhaustion that she can't get out of bed for a week. And it all just gets a little grosser whenever TikTok users remembered a video that she posted a while ago about the birthday present that her husband got for her. In the video that she's since taken down, Hannah excitedly hopes for plane tickets to Greece, which should be easy enough considering her father-in-law is a billionaire who owns multiple airlines, but... Oh my god, I thought I was gonna have to censor that for a second. Anyway, what did this dumbass multimillionaire get his wife for her birthday? Oh, my apron!
AIDS in it.
An apron? Subtle. What, was saying get back in the kitchen just a little too on the nose?
You're welcome.
Thanks, honey. Yeah, getting your wife something that subtly screams get back to work when not even bothering to take it out of the box it was shipped in when you can afford over 1 million sheets of personalized Shrek wrapping paper isn't really a good look. Wait, 2 people have this in their carts? Make that 3. Since the release of this article, people have gone back and forth attacking and defending everyone involved here. The husband, the reporter, Hannah, the kids. Okay, they're not attacking the kids, but you get my point. The conversation seems to fall in 2 different categories. A, people can't imagine that she would be happy to give up her dreams and be a traditional wife who takes care of her children and husband. And B, societal pressures and women's gender roles forced her into giving up her dreams and thinking that this is what she wanted in the first place. But the conversation isn't as easy as just saying, she's happy and she chose this life, or she's unhappy and she was forced into this life. These things can coexist. Why does everyone try to make it an either-or situation? It's never an either-or situation. There seems to be a lack of understanding the nuance that societal and cultural pressures can have on people. The issue that the people who are defending her for choosing this lifestyle fail to see is the lack of an identity beyond being a wife or a parent, at least from our perspective, because we don't really know these people, we only know their edits. That's the issue that people are trying to talk about, and while saying she gave up her dreams to be with him is technically true, it becomes a bit of an oversimplification when you begin to phrase it as sacrificing part of who you are to live up to a lifestyle that you might not have chosen for yourself if it wasn't for outside pressures. It's about how she wanted a ballet studio, and instead it became a school for the kids. It's about how her cupboards are so full of her kids and her husband's stuff that he moved her pageant dresses, the only hobby that doesn't involve him or her kids, into the garage. It's about how she wanted to date for a full year before getting married. He said no, and then they were married within 4 months. This creator explains it perfectly, where in an environment under strict gender roles, yes, there's technically a choice, but also there's a right answer and a wrong answer. So sure, you can say that you picked the Sprite, but whenever you've been told that drinking Coke will damn you, damn your family, and you'll suffer for all eternity, was it really a choice? Anyway, take all this with a grain of salt. I have my biases just like everyone, but it just bothers me when people don't actually talk about the issue and they just kind of go on like, oh my gosh, they're cooking from scratch, making food. I've seen it all. First and foremost, Tradwife influencers are a brand. They're selling a product. Cookbooks, clothes, food. Which is kind of ironic considering that owning a brand is inherently not traditional as a wife, which kind of makes the entire concept of Tradwife content an oxymoron. Society has a general lack of social media literacy, so a lot of people can't infer that this content is fake. Generally, Tradwife content is less of a lifestyle and more of a way to promote your business, while appealing to the general experience of motherhood. Taking Tradwife content at face value leaves you with a romantic aesthetic of living in a cozy house, having a cute little family, and a loving husband. And in most situations, that's just not the reality. It's important to have an identity outside of your relationship, no matter the context. So in the wise words of James Earl Jones, remember who you are. Also, make sure you're not too financially dependent on someone you're in a relationship with because it can create a massive power imbalance. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today. If you guys liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Because apparently I've been supposed to ask you guys to do that. Anyway, tune in next time when I extract raw materials from the earth because my 272-month-old boyfriend got tired of sending carrier pigeons, and so I decided to make my phone from scratch. Bye.